This is 2 Minutes Together, a ministry of Central Lutheran Church, Eugene, Oregon. I'm Pastor Ben. This week in our gospel reading, we continue in Luke chapter 16, a difficult chapter. And in it we have the story of the rich man and Lazarus, Lazarus being the poor man, or in fact the beggar on the street. And they both die. And the story is a little bit convoluted, but after the rich man dies, then he gets a vision of Abraham, of all people, shows up, and this rich man is in this place of suffering, and he says, "I'm so hot and suffering and thirsty. Abraham, please give us a drop of water, or have Lazarus give me a drop of water to quench my thirst." And there's a lot going on in this passage, and Abraham says, "I can't do that, and neither can he, because a great chasm separates where Lazarus is and where you are." And then the story goes on, and he has to go back and be able to tell his relatives about this so they could avoid it. And Abraham says they won't listen even if someone rises from the dead. And there's all kinds of implications. What is this place of torment? What is this about rising from the dead? What does that mean for Jesus rising from the dead? I want to just focus on one thing. This message of the chasm that has formed after Lazarus and this rich man die. Because if you read the first half of the story, the chasm was already there when they were alive. And that word chasm, that distance between the two, has been there this whole time. It wasn't new when they died. But instead, the chasm before was about the rich person and this beggar on the street, and the way in which they didn't interact except for the rich person despising this beggar on the street. And I wonder if part of the meaning here has to do with that chasm, because we live in a world so filled with distance from one another's and seeming chasms between us. And if maybe part of the point is about how do you live in relationship. And yes, part of it is care for the needy and the poor, but that how are you in relationship at all? So that the care we do isn't us, the powerful people, helping out you poor people, but instead, how are you simply one body in Christ? And that part of the miracle of Jesus' gospel is that we can actually interact with people who are so different from us. That we can actually be community with people who we would not normally be community with. That Jesus gives us an ability to connect through who he is in this world. That the chasms we have between us can be bridged, because that's who Jesus is for us and for our neighbor. This has been 2 Minutes Together. I'm Pastor Ben.